Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're going to go ahead and do a different type of video today. We're going to cover 3 fragrance truths and the potential outcome or the outcome of said truths. Now, I have to give you just a short intro. The reasons for why I'm doing this video are a little bit selfish, just because I constantly notice a growing trend, or not a growing trend, but a trend of people who come to my videos and they're on other people's videos as well too, and generally they'll ignore one of these 3 fragrance truths, not really understand it, and it'll lead to whatever comment or whatever opinion they particularly have. Now, not saying that anyone's opinion is wrong, but I do think it's skewed just because they may not understand one of these 3 fragrance truths, fully. So that essentially is my reason for doing this video, and no other. And finally, I'm going to go ahead and end the video with what the outcome of said understanding those truths is. All right. So that's essentially it. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and get on into the video. Now, the first fragrance truth that we're going to touch on today is everyone perceives scent differently. Now, what that basically means is that everyone has a different sense of smell. It could be a different sense of smell, a different sense of perception of smell. By difference in smell, I mean, let's say that you have, or that we have, an orange here, right? I give it to you and I tell you to describe the orange. What does it smell like? What you say is probably going to be different than what I say and what I take in. Compounding that fact is once you start introducing multiple smells all together, what one person perceives for that particular scent is different than another person's. One person may all of a sudden, be taking out more of the amber of that scent. Another person may be taking out more of the orange for that scent. So everyone perceives scent differently, and this is really important. Because of that fact, even if you have the exact same scent, you will have people describing it differently. And that's not even counting just yet, which is another kind of layer onto this, is that everyone describes the scent completely differently. You may be smelling the same thing and you may come up with a completely different explanation of what you're smelling. If you come up with a citrus, I may say, oh, this smells bright, right? And another person may be smelling the same thing and may say, oh man, this smells tangy, this smells sour, or something along those lines. So there are so many facets within that kind of realm that you can't really completely rely on somebody else for a description of a scent. Now, I know everyone goes to fragrance videos, and that's the purpose of us, is we'll give you our interpretation of a scent, but that's just it. It's our interpretation of a scent. And so it's really important, for that matter, that you keep that in mind. So that's fragrance truth number 1. Everyone perceives scent differently. Fragrance truth number 2. Scent is different on everyone's skin. Simply, that means what I just said. Scent is different on everybody's skin. It matters because, let's say, you spray a fragrance on my skin and you spray a fragrance on my wife's skin, it comes off completely different. Different enough to the point where if you had somebody smelling some of the scents on my skin versus her skin, people are going to think that you're smelling something different. And this has happened multiple times. I mean, I've used to go to a ton of fragrance events where there would be fragrance launches, and one of the things that really stuck out to me was when you would take a scent, everyone would spray it on and be like, oh, that smells good, and then, hey, let me smell it on you. And then they smell it on him and they're like, oh, that smells different. I'm not getting some of the bergamot. I'm not getting some of the, vanilla. That's just what happens. Your skin interacts completely different than somebody else's skin, and maybe minuscule. Sometimes it may say the same, sometimes it may smell different. That's why, essentially, in a lot of my videos and a lot of other people's videos, they'll tell you, apply it on your skin, give it a try first before you kind of jump to a conclusion of what a scent reminds or what a scent smells like. Let me give you an example. I remember the release when Olfactive Studios was just being released, and we got to meet Celine as well as a couple other reviewers, and we were kind of congregating around her new scents, and she was kind of promoting her new line, and we were out to dinner. And the first scent that she kind of gave us to purchase, or gave us the option to purchase, was Still Life. And I remember Frunkinator, another reviewer, sprayed it on his skin. I sprayed it on my skin. I was smelling it, and Frunkinator was smelling it, and we were like, yeah, we love this scent. And I was like, well, let me smell it on Frunk. And I'm like, hey, that smells kind of different. And Frunk smells it on my skin. He's like, whoa, that's completely different. it smells like the yuzu note in that is completely absorbed. It's like it's gone on your skin, so it's brighter on my skin than it was on his. And then Celine, the parfumée, the creator of Olfactive Studios, she goes and she starts smelling my skin and she's like, wow, that's amazing. It's like spraying it on my skin, the yuzu note just completely disappeared. And the lesson from that, a lesson from that story is there are little nuances like that that happen with everyone's skin. Maybe it gets, a certain note gets amped up on your skin. Maybe a certain note goes, you know, sour on your skin. It works, each fragrance kind of works differently with everyone's oils based on how everything is. So you do kind of really want to keep that in mind. That's essentially vital. So, you know, when you see somebody, you know, do a review or say a comment about how this fragrance smells like on them, you know, just give them the benefit of the doubt. That probably is what it smells like on them. And, you know, fragrance is just different on everyone's skin. So that's number 2. Fragrance is different on everyone's skin. Fragrance truth number 3. There are batch variations. Now, batch variations is a thing of wonder within the fragrance community. For those of you who don't know, batch variations are essentially, if you take a particular fragrance, it's the same fragrance, it was just created within a different batch, if you will, within a different you know, set. So if you have a different batch, although it's the same scent, you have no guarantee that it's going to smell completely like some of the other fragrances that you used to come upon. Now with designer fragrances, it's not too much of a difference, only because most designer fragrances tend to use, I hate to use this word synthetic, but synthetic is what I'm going to go ahead and use, or simple compounds, or compounds that are easily reducible or easily reproducible for the exact same scent, and they just mix it in the exact same qualities and they get the exact same scent. But with niche fragrances, or with fragrances, especially, I'm going to use the House of Creed for one example, they tend to use more natural ingredients than other fragrance houses. And so for that reason, you know, some of the natural ingredients have variations in what they have. Maybe there was a particular, you know, bloom of orange blossom that had, you know, a more strong and pungent odor. Well, when you use that oil from that orange blossom, it's going to bring out that note a little bit more in the fragrance, and it's going to smell a little bit different, even though it's the same formulation and, you know, and combination. And so that's where kind of batch variations come from. You have these fragrances that are still the same mix, they're the same ingredients, but you know, those core ingredients may be slightly different in some way, and they tend to amp up and bring down other features for it. So because you have different batch variations, it's very hard, you know, to come across and basically say, hey, these two fragrances are exactly alike, even though they're the same fragrance, right? You'll hear a common comment of, oh, I think you got a fake, or I think yours is fake because it doesn't smell like how I'm saying it smells like, or it doesn't smell like how he's saying it smells like, therefore it must be a fake. There are a ton of fakes running around, no doubt about that. But it gets hairy because there are a lot of batch variations. And although there are, you know, batch variations are not as common with some of the designers, reformulations are. And when fragrance houses reformulate fragrances, they often don't tell you. They'll just do it, and all of a sudden you have a fragrance that is much weaker than it once was. Le Male comes to mind. There are a ton of fragrances that I won't get into that have been reformulated like crazy, but La Nuit de l'Homme. So it's just hard on that aspect. Those aren't going to actually tell you that there's a different batch number, whereas Creed usually does tell you if there's a different batch variation. So take with it what you will. Now those three combined make it very difficult for one person compared to another to say this fragrance is exactly the same for whatever reason. Now many times people do come to the same conclusion, but as proof of what I'm saying, if you go on Base Notes, Fragrantica, and just look at some of the comments for each of the fragrances, you'll notice they vary wildly. And some of them may agree with exactly what you think of a fragrance, and some of them may be completely different. Some people are like, man, this is monster on my skin. Other people are like, this is crap on my skin. This is not, it doesn't have any longevity, it smells sour, or whatever the case may be. You'll notice there's different comments, and there's a reason for that. And it's getting at the heart of what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So, you know, for my example, Dolce & Gabbana is the one is a prime example. I know people get crappy performance with that fragrance, but me, I get outstanding performance with it. I don't know what it is. For some reason, it just goes well on my skin and lasts a good amount of time. Now, on the other hand, you have a fragrance like, I just reviewed it, Cedrat Bois from the house of Mancera, I believe it is. And a lot of people get monster performance with that. Me, I don't get monster performance with that. I just don't. And there's nothing wrong with it. I don't have a fake or anything like that. And, you know, that's just the way it is. That's just what happens. So those are those 3 fragrance truths. Now, what can you take away from it? What's the most important thing that I want to emphasize on you today? Try these fragrances out for yourselves. You know, get a sample if you can, and just get a small amount, put it on your skin, see how you like it. What's most important is how you like a fragrance, not necessarily what other people say. Kind of use that as a guiding light. Reviewers, we come on, we tell you what our opinion is of a fragrance, but at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything until it's on your skin and to see how it performs with you and nobody else. All right? So that is why I have said the comment many times, and I still say it to this day. My opinion means jack shit compared to your opinion. Your opinion is really what should take the most precedence, take the most priority in everything. Because at the end of the day, you're the master of your own nose. You're the master of your own scent. And, you know, that's, you know, essentially what I'm trying to get at. So your opinion, just as good as mine, if not better, when evaluating fragrances. I don't view the evaluation of fragrances in any tier like, oh man, he's got such a good nose. I don't. I think that's ridiculous. No, you have such a good nose. You have a nose that is just as worthy as mine because we all have different sense of smell. There we go. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. Just a quick video informing. I hope it was quick enough. I hope I didn't ramble on too long. That's it. Thank you guys. Take care of yourselves. Let me know what you guys think and feel about this as well. Take care.